Hello everyone, in this video I will be sharing some important tips on how to take care of quail chicks. I'll also include a formula for your quail chick feed. Okay, so let's get started. It's important for you to prepare a structure for your quail chicks before you receive them or before they hatch from your incubator. Some people can just divide a big room into a considerable smaller space for the chicks. Some people can keep their quails in a box, or they can purchase a professional quail brooder from people who make quail brooders or chicken brooders, whichever. Now, your structure must be able to fit in your drinkers and your feeders, and also must be able to accommodate putting in heat source, either a bulb or a heater. Also, your structure must have an inlet and outlet for air, because for you to have anything living anyway grow well, it must have considerably enough oxygen coming in and used air going out. Now this is probably the most important point in this whole video when it comes to taking care of quail chicks. The number one reason why most quail chicks die is not having enough heat. When there's no heat in the room, the quails will just pile up on each other, and then they'll have a stampede, and the ones beneath end up dying. You could have a significant amount of quails dying, even close to 100 quails die in one day. So how do you make sure that you have enough heat in your poultry? Number one, your heat source must be consistent. Either use bulbs or use braziers or any heat source. Just make sure that your room is hot enough or warm enough for the quails. It should not be less than 30 degrees. Perfect heat amount for your quails should be around 35 degrees Celsius. And I'm saying this because mostly people have gone below 30 degrees or even 30 sometimes. You could have 30 degrees in your poultry, but your quails are still not warm enough. So I would advise about 35 degrees, 30 to 35 degrees. You could actually, depending on how your quails feel, you could always check on your quails. If you see your quails freely roaming around the room, walking around, not piling up, then you know that they are warm enough. But immediately you see them just piling up in a corner, or in one position to keep warm, know that they are feeling cold. So make sure that their room is warm enough or hot enough so that they don't pile up on each other and die. Alright, so now let's talk about other things that might be a threat to your quail chicks, which is very rare. Another thing could be the drinkers. If the drinkers have wide space in them in which a quail can fall into and drown, or fall into and get cold, then you're likely going to experience some deaths. So to prevent this, just add a few stones in the water or pebbles in your drinkers so that your quails won't fall into the water and drown. Mind you, at this level they are very small and they can't swim. They are not ducks, by the way. So always make sure that the area in which they're drinking water from is not too open for them to fall into and drown or get wet and then die out of being cold. And then another thing that could kill your quails or that can threaten your quails to dying is disease. So always ensure that, number one, spray some viral kill, that's just a brand for a disinfectant. Spray disinfectant in your room, or even add a disinfectant to the water. Just make sure they're disease free. Quails are not vulnerable birds, so you could rarely use vaccines for them. But if worse gets to worse, you could consult with your local vet, and they could advise what you could actually put in your water or what you could give them to protect them from any disease. Another thing is predators. Things like snakes and big rats can actually kill your quails, so look out for them. Make sure your structure is predator proof. Okay. Something else important to put in mind is their floor, where they step on. You could put sawdust on the floor, or it could be a rough floor where they can just step on and can easily walk. Avoid putting slippery things, like I've seen people use newspapers or cardboard on the floor for the quails to step on. What actually happens is that the floor becomes slippery, and as the quails are struggling to walk, they keep on falling and spreading their legs, and you could actually have lame quails, because their limbs are weak or their limbs have been outstretched by falling on the slippery floor. So make sure that you have a floor that's safe to walk on, but also a floor that can keep them warm. Now that we have spoken about the many ways in which our chicks can be safe, let's also talk about the kind of food that our chicks can eat. When you go to your local feed store, you will be sold quail feed for chicks or chicken feed for chicks. Whichever route you choose to take, it still works best for your chicks. The only difference between quail and chicken feed is that quail feed is usually higher in protein than chicken feed. But if you want to cut on costs, you could choose to make your own feed. And I will be sharing with you a formula that you could use to make your quail chick starter feed. Please also check in with your local animal nutritionist for a second opinion. And if you are unable to go through this whole process of creating your feed with all these ingredients, you could simply walk into your feed store and purchase a chick starter concentrate, which you can mix with 1.5 bag of number 3 meal to neutralize it, so you could have more feed for your quails. I would like to state that you have to make sure that you have each ingredient of your feed in the right quantity so that you don't have your chicks stunted. So let's get started. The first ingredient is 34 kg of maize meal number 3, or number 3 meal as we call it in Zambia. The second one is soya cake, 10.5 kg, fish meal, 4 kg, methionine, 200 grams, lysine, 200 grams, DCP 300 grams, broiler premix 200 grams, stock feed lime 200 grams, and iodized salt 400 grams. You can mix these ingredients together with a spade or a shovel if you have one, or you could just go to a place in your local area where feed is mixed, or a grinding mill where they can mix all these products for you. So I wish you all the best as you endeavor in your quail project. And if you have any questions or any contributions on how you can make your quail feed starter, please do comment, and I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd love to hear more from us, hit the notification bell. Also remember to subscribe to this channel to receive amazing content from us. Thank you for watching, and all the best.